Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, and that is RV fire safety. Whether you're a seasoned full-timer or a weekend warrior, knowing how to protect your loved ones and your property is something every RVer should know. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 essential areas of RV fire safety: extinguishers, detectors, escape planning, and we'll touch a little bit on fire prevention. Before we jump into those 4 topics, though, let's talk a little bit about some of the statistics with fires in RVs. According to the U.S. Fire Administration, between 2018 and 2020, there were 4,200 fires involving recreational vehicles. Those 4,200 fires resulted in 15 deaths, 125 injuries, and over $60 million in property loss. Interestingly enough, the majority of those RV fires occurred between 2 and 3 p.m. in the afternoon. They occurred between the months of May and August, and they happen most frequently on Fridays and Saturdays. When it comes to causes of RV fires, there are 5 common areas where a fire can start on an RV. First and foremost, just like in a home, an unattended cooking fire is obviously a leading cause of fires in an RV. Cooking in the kitchen, forgetting about something on the stove, walking away from the stove, going back outside to the campsite while something is on the propane gas top, obviously can lead to a fire in an RV. Next up, we have electrical system failures, which include overloading electrical circuits and possibly short circuits in those electrical systems. We've seen examples where people have unplugged their shoreline from a campsite pedestal and have found melted plastic where there has been a short due to a poor connection on the shore power cord. So overloading electrical circuits and short circuits can obviously lead to a fire in an RV. In addition, the use of extension cords, which we'll talk a little bit more about in the fire prevention segment, but using multiple extension cords can also be a common cause of fires in an RV. When it comes to motorized RVs, of course, we have an engine compartment and possibly an onboard generator. You might have the generators in non-motorized units as well, but those engine compartments and generators can also be a common cause of an RV fire. Of course, with the engine overheating, the generator overheating, wheel well fires and brake system fires are also common causes of fires in an RV. Refrigerator malfunctions are also a common cause of an RV fire. In an absorption style refrigerator that can run off both electric and propane, you have a propane flame in the back of the RV while it's operating on propane. That propane flame is usually contained into a burner assembly of the absorption system, but if that burner assembly is blocked, not functioning properly, you have an open flame there, which could possibly lead to an RV fire. And then we have heaters and propane issues. With heaters, to supplement heat in an RV during the cooler winter months, it might be common for people to use space heaters, which are great. However, those space heaters, if left unattended, or if they are an older unit that does not have the tip over protection that some of the newer units have, then obviously space heaters can be a cause of a fire in an RV. With the propane systems, just due to the nature of an RV, there are multiple propane powered appliances. Your water heater, your refrigerator, your furnace. Those systems, when they're operating normally, usually don't cause any issue. But when they malfunction or something happens to where that propane system within that appliance becomes blocked, occluded, or not functioning properly, then those propane systems can also lead to a fire. And then we have those propane lines that are coming off of our propane tanks, our onboard propane tanks. Those propane lines leading to those different systems could possibly cause leaks, which could lead to an RV fire. Let's jump into the first of our 4 topics, which is RV fire extinguishers. All right, so first up is fire extinguishers, and everybody is probably more familiar with the white extinguisher that's found by the door of the RV. Generally speaking, that's where you'll find the fire extinguisher in an RV. RVs are required by law to have at least one fire extinguisher in them. However, the number does matter. It is actually recommended that you have at least 3 different extinguishers in and around your RV. We'll talk a little more about the location of those fire extinguishers, but I do want to touch on the type of extinguisher because that does make a huge difference. On the label of the fire extinguisher, you're going to see 3 symbols and 3 different letters. For an RV fire extinguisher, what you should see on the extinguisher is the letters A, B, and C with the corresponding symbols. What those letters mean are A stands for a Class A fire, which is your ordinary combustibles like paper, wood, that kind of material. Class B is flammable liquid fires, which are, of course, gasoline, diesel, any type of flammable liquid. And then Class C fire is an energized electrical fire, which means if you have an appliance that's plugged in, such as a toaster or other cooking appliance, if that catches fire while it's plugged in, it's considered an energized electrical appliance. If you unplug that energized electrical appliance, then generally speaking, you're left with a Class A fire because of the plastics and such. So when looking for an extinguisher for your RV, you want to make sure that you have those 3 letters and those 3 symbols, a Class A, B, C fire extinguisher. The color of the extinguisher doesn't really matter. Obviously this one is white. You can find them, red. There are some other colors of extinguishers, but again, for a Class A, B, C extinguisher, white or red is generally what you're looking for. As I mentioned earlier, RVs are required to have 1 extinguisher mounted in them when they are delivered from the factory. And generally speaking, that fire extinguisher is mounted by the front door. However, the other locations that are recommended for fire extinguishers include the main bedroom or the sleeping area, mounting an extinguisher in the bedroom. That way, if a fire occurs in the middle of the night while everyone is sleeping, you have quick access to the extinguisher. The third location that's recommended is outside the RV in an unlocked compartment. Having an extinguisher outside the RV, easily accessible through an unlocked compartment. That way, if there is a fire in the campsite, or possibly as you're towing going down the road, you can pull over and have quick access to a fire extinguisher. There actually is a 4th location as well, and that's putting a fire extinguisher in the tow vehicle. That way, again, if traveling, going down the road, a fire breaks out, you can pull over and get quick access, immediate access to a fire extinguisher. As far as maintenance and inspection of a fire extinguisher, the only thing that you really want to do is make sure that you look at that gauge, and that yellow needle should be within the green range of the gauge. If it is anywhere in the red outside of that green zone, then you should replace the fire extinguisher. Additionally, you want to make sure that there are no dings or dents, and you also want to make sure that the safety pin is securely attached to the handle of the fire extinguisher. Ideally, you should be looking at your fire extinguishers at least monthly to make sure that they are well maintained and in good operating order. The last thing that we want to talk about when it comes to fire extinguishers is actually their use, how to deploy a fire extinguisher and use it to extinguish a fire. And that is best done by remembering a simple acronym, which is PASS. You're going to pull the pin, and there should be a little zip tie that holds the pin in place, but it's a very weak zip tie. All you need to do is give that pin a firm tug, and it should break away or come loose of the handle. So that is P, pull the pin. A is to aim the fire extinguisher. Aim it at the base of the fire. Then you're going to squeeze the handle to deploy the contents of the extinguisher. And lastly, the last S is sweep. You want to sweep the extinguisher from side to side. So once again, that acronym is PASS, pull the pin, aim the extinguisher, squeeze the handle, and sweep from side to side. All right, that covers extinguishers. Let's move on and talk about detectors. As far as the different types of detectors in your RV goes, there should be 3 different types of detectors that you have in your RV. The first one being a smoke detector, the second being a carbon monoxide or CO detector, and the third being an LPG or propane detector. Let's talk about those a little bit individually. Generally speaking, an RV smoke detector should be mounted someplace right outside the main bedroom door or in the hallway of the RV. The RV smoke detector is very similar to the type of detector that you would find in a house. Just like in a house, your RV smoke detector will have a battery on the back side of it. To get to that battery, all you're going to do is simply give the smoke detector a twist, pull straight down, and from there you should be able to find the battery. To remount the smoke detector after changing the battery, all you're going to do is line up those two ridges on the outside. Might be hard to see, but there are two ridges right there. Line up those two ridges, give the smoke detector a twist clockwise, and it's remounted to the ceiling. Just like in a house, it is recommended that you replace this battery at least twice a year, and that being the same time that you change the clocks. Whenever you change the clocks forward or back, then it's a good idea to change your smoke detector battery as well. That's just a general rule of thumb. When you change the clocks, change your batteries. If you don't change the clocks, then just remember, change your batteries twice a year. Just like in a home, it's important to test the smoke detector as well. And just like a residential smoke detector, the one in your RV should have a test button. All you're going to do is simply push and hold. Watch your ears. And you can test that the smoke detector activates properly. In addition to the smoke detector, you should also have a carbon monoxide and a propane detector as well. In our Keystone Cougar 316 RLS, the carbon monoxide and the propane detector are actually combined into one detector. Ours is located just as you come in the front door, right above the electric panel. To test this detector, all you're going to do is push and hold the button, and it should activate both the carbon monoxide and the propane side as well. You'll see two different red lights, one being for the carbon monoxide detector and the flashing red light for the propane detector. Again, this is something that you should check at least twice a year, if not more often. The last thing I want to discuss in relation to detectors is they actually, believe it or not, have an expiration date. If you pull down your smoke detector while you're changing your battery, take a look at the label that's on the back of the detector, and you should see that there is a manufacture date. And generally speaking, at least on the back of our smoke detector, it says to replace that detector within 10 years. So our smoke detector was manufactured on November 5th of 2020, so we should replace our smoke detector in 2030. Additionally, the carbon monoxide and the propane detector also have an expiration date, if you call it that, as well. Again, looking at the label on the front of the propane and CO detector, you'll see where it says to replace the detector within 60 months after retail purchase. So depending on when you purchased your RV, that should be the time 5 years from then or 60 months. You should consider replacing those detectors. And I'll put some links below to an Amazon product for an RV smoke detector and an RV combined carbon monoxide propane detector as well. If you find that one of your detectors is expired, then you can go onto Amazon and get yourself a new one. All right, the next topic that we're going to cover is escape planning. Before we get into escape planning for an RV, let me give you a theoretical situation. Let's say it's 3 a.m., you're asleep in your nice bed in your RV, and all of a sudden that smoke detector goes off. You jump out of bed and you find there's smoke in the RV. Hopefully, just like in a house, you're sleeping with your bedroom door closed, you open the door, and the living area of the RV is completely filled with smoke. How are you gonna get out? What's your best access to get out to fresh air and to save your loved ones? Do you know how to escape your RV? Do you know how to use those exit windows? In this segment, we'll talk about those emergency windows and how important it is to know where they're located and how they operate. Let me ask you a question. Right now, off the top of your head, how many windows does your RV have? Of that number of windows, how many of them are exit windows? In our Keystone Cougar 316 RLS, we have a total of 11 different windows, 4 of which are considered exit windows. If a fire breaks out in an RV, you're only going to have seconds to react. Unlike a home or a house where you might have minutes to get out, in an RV, it's crucial that you get out quickly. Knowing where those emergency exits are located, but more importantly, how they operate, is crucial to saving lives. During my time in the fire service, we did many a presentation for kids and families about the importance of having exit drills in the home. also known as Edith. I'm a big proponent of exit drills in the RV. It's very important to know where your emergency exits are located, but more importantly, how are you going to get out of them if an emergency or a fire occurs. Knowing how those emergency exits operate and how you're going to get out of them is once again crucial to saving lives. As I mentioned, our Keystone Cougar has a total of 4 different exit windows. 3 of the 4 are located in the main living area of the RV. This window above the dinette is an exit window. This window behind our love seat is an exit window. And lastly, this big window behind the couch is also an emergency exit window. Our 4th emergency exit window in our Keystone is, of course, in the bedroom. One of the easiest ways to tell if a window in your RV is an emergency exit is by looking at the handle of the window. Now, on our bigger windows above the dinette and the love seat, the 2 larger windows, there are black handles which allow the window to open normally, but then on the sides of the window you will see a red handle. And generally speaking, in an RV, if a window has a red colored handle, it is considered an emergency exit window. Please keep in mind that depending on the type of the window, that handle could be very different. Of our 4 different emergency exit windows, we have 2 different styles of red or emergency handles. So it's important to once again not only know where your windows are located, but how those handles operate. Each type of emergency window might have a different handle, so it's important to familiarize yourself with those handles and how they operate before a fire occurs. One other important consideration about using emergency exit windows is once you open the window and you're getting ready to go out, how are you going to navigate getting out of the window to the ground? These are the 2 windows that are above our dinette and the love seat. Both of them are emergency exit windows. And as you can see, I'm not the tallest guy in the world, I'm 5'8", but that window is a few inches above my head. So that window, that drop to the ground, is at least 6 feet going out the emergency exit windows above the dinette and above the love seat. If you look at that bedroom window, that could be even a further drop to the ground. So again, knowing what you're going to do, planning on how you're going to navigate that drop and successfully get out of the RV is crucial. In regards to navigating that drop, once you open the emergency exit window, you push the window out, you're getting ready to go out it, now you're facing at least a 6-foot drop. You got to think about how you're going to navigate that. In a home, they make emergency escape ladders that you would put out a 2nd-story window that you would then climb down to safety. They don't make one of those escape ladders, at least that I've been able to find, specific for RVs. However, an escape ladder that you would use in a home certainly might be applicable to the situation here in an RV. You know, if you're an in-shape person, you have no problems getting around, then navigating that drop and getting out of the RV might not be that big of a deal for you. But if you're someone that has limited mobility, you have a hard time getting around normally, then you really got to think about, once you open that emergency window, the RV's filled with smoke, you got to get out. How are you going to navigate that drop to the ground and not break your neck, a leg, your arm? You know, I guess relatively speaking, a broken bone is better than dying in an RV fire. However, now is the time before an emergency occurs to think about and consider how you're going to safely get out of an RV if the time comes. Okay, so that was RV escape planning. Last segment that we want to talk about is fire prevention. When it comes to fire prevention, the best way to deal with a fire is to not have one in the first place. So prevention is everything. We talked a little bit about in the beginning some of the more common causes of RV fires, that being propane lines, leaking propane lines, electrical issues, cooking fires. So being diligent with all those areas could certainly help prevent a disaster from happening. When it comes to propane lines, it's really important to get into a habit of regularly inspecting those lines. Anytime you change out your propane cylinder, when you get the tank filled, you install it back in the RV, it's a really good habit to grab a bottle of soapy water and give those propane connections a spray. Make sure you don't see any bubbles, any sign of leaking propane. Best thing that you can do for propane lines is staying diligent with leak detection and making sure that you don't have a leak in the first place. Just like in a home, unattended cooking fires is a leading cause of fires in an RV. Having something on an open flame, you have a propane stove, leaving a pot on a stove unattended or unattended cooking. Be diligent about your cooking practices and make sure that you don't put yourself in a situation where you have an unattended cooking situation that could lead to a fire. In regards to preventing fires caused by electrical issues, one of the biggest things that you can do is frequent inspection of your shoreline. Whenever you make a connection to a shore power at the campsite, whenever you go to unplug it, take a look at the prongs on your shoreline plug. Make sure you don't see any signs of a short. We've been seeing a lot of instances online where people have found melted plastic on their shoreline plug due to a bad connection at the panel. So again, identifying those areas that could cause a short and cause an electrical fire. There is one other area I want to talk about, and that is the use of extension cords and space heaters. Extension cords, while they might be necessary, just keep in mind that extension cords can cause resistance, and resistance equals heat. So be leery about the number of extension cords that you use. Daisy chaining those extension cords together can worsen the process and cause more heat to be transferred or to be emitted. So just be leery with extension cords. And of course, space heaters, just like in a home or house during the cool seasons when you might need some extra heat, space heaters could be utilized, but again, make sure that they have tip over protection. Don't leave them on when they're not being attended, and just use common sense when it comes to space heaters. All right, so that's going to do it for RV fire safety. I really hope that you got at least something out of this video. And if you did, please do me a huge favor and give it a thumbs up. Give me a like. Please drop me a comment below. What are your thoughts? Have you experienced any issues? Do you have any recommendations? I would love to know what those are. So please drop me a comment below and let me know what you think. And of course, as always, I really appreciate it if you would please consider subscribing. We're a new channel, and we love the support that we've been getting, and hitting that subscribe button with the notification bell on certainly means the world to us. So thank you very much. Again, I hope you found this helpful. If you have any ideas or suggestions, please drop them in the comments below. All right, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching, and as always, go Bills!